When you have these tools that we have, right? Once upon a time, if you're like me and a bit of a dinosaur in the business and, been in the game over 15 years, so many of the things that exist today to acquire new clients were not there and they did not exist, right? Like, so case in point, one of the things that we're going to be talking about today is really like an intelligent style sales funnel, right? Like there's a lot of pieces within the sales funnel that we need to be able to pull this off at the level that we're talking about here. But that also starts with, what is that unique selling proposition? What is your USP? Right? So there's going to be a lot of challenges today. I'm going to encourage you guys around, goal setting, kind of taking a look at what is our plan? What is our mission? What is our focus this year? And really kind of identifying, our core values. What are those core values that are guiding us, that are going to lead us? Because at the end of the day, your business is always going to grow to the extent that you do. And so are you taking the time to set yourself up for success on each day? Are you being proactive about your day? Which I know we've had many coaching sessions about being proactive versus reactive, right? Meaning, are you being on purpose? Do you have a planned workout time? Do you have planned personal growth time? Do you have, planned, meals and those types of things? I mean, I get it that we all can run systems or not systems, run days to where, we'll be slammed working and we're so hungry. And the next thing you know, we're in a fast food line, right? Those are the types of things that ultimately, if we plan our meals, even if you can't eat, a lot of times what you brought for your lunch that particular day, that's going to help set you up for success. And the reason why I'm talking about something so simplistic and so tangible, I think, is, diet and eating and all those types of things. I think is so many things that regardless of whether you're on, regardless of where you're at in that health journey, it's something that we can all relate to. And so now let's flip that in our real estate business, right? What can we do to, yes, even though we're slammed and we're busy dealing with that, crazy buyer, crazy seller, crazy transaction that, is presenting a little bit of issues. However, we led with, having automation or systems and processes for that day that's still going to be able to put me in that real estate conversation to have that healthy meal, right? So those are the kinds of things that I want to start kind of shifting your thinking to start, kind of getting on that journey. Is now is January. I mean, there's a lot of, I know personally, I always do a lot of my business planning, personal planning, family planning, etc. Usually in December. I always want to get them written down. I want to get them in a place that I see them on a consistent basis. I like to review them weekly, those types of things. I don't know who said this quote. I'm just going off the cuff on this one. I think it was Michael Jordan. You miss 100% of the shots you don't make. Right. Another one of my favorite ones is, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. Aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. Don't let that obviously be you. Right. So we want to set these goals. We want to have some solid intentions. The things that I love about intention is when your intention is clear, usually one of the mechanisms, the vehicles, how to cross the bridge, etc., starts to appear. And that's the whole point of this, right? Is it's not just getting one particular cash offer. It's not, submitting one particular buyer for become a cash buyer and those types of things. And if it doesn't work out, you throw it away and say it's broken. It's a systematic approach that we have to run our business just like everything we ever do, whether that be, your IDX internet leads, ZBuyer leads, Zillow leads, whatever other paid source leads, or just even, mailing, calling, etc. Right? All of the different types of leads that are out there. It all works when we work. Now, the thing that I really want to start, empowering us to go back to is the sales funnel that I said. It's never one thing. It's always all the things, right? That's where that system working together is what I want to kind of start talking about. We're going to dive into today, and really most of these CRMs that I'm going to be what I'm going to share with you today, most of the CRMs will perform and do. Okay, so email open rate right now has climbed the last 3 years. And I think it's because of a lot of the filterings, of course, the Gmails, the sorting, all those types of things, whether it's done a better job. So if you're landing in their inbox, that open rate right now is roughly right around 20%. I think it's between 20 and 23% is usually what it kind of comes in at. That is super, super important information to know. That allows us to work smarter. If you start running certain sales funnels and being able to look at that lead's particular history and see that they've opened 3 emails from you, right? And then maybe there's a couple of call to action items inside that email that you built. If you're taking some of the content from Zoodealio that we provide for you guys, then you can see these actionable items that they're taking, they're clicking on it inside of the email. Well, that's a higher qualified lead. And if we're able to have a conversation with people that are opening your emails and taking action and clicking them, that conversation and that lead quality exponentially goes up, right? So like those are the, kind of now rolling into the action items, right? We have to build these things. We have to take our time to set these up so we can go up, right? And then not only that, depending on the sophistication of your CRM, you could certainly run funnels like where if they open, they click, it puts them in a different, pile, and you can run a different campaign, different action items. Those are a little bit more sophisticated. CRMs, and one of the ones that we are, as I've been telling everybody for 6 months now, one of the things that we're feverishly working on in the background to be able to give to you guys is, something that has a lot of automations and intelligence in the background that's going to be able to work for you. So the last 2 things we're going to kind of dive in today, of course, is those action items, as I just said, and then working smart, right? So the thing I want to, kind of start off with, and let's look at this, as far as this goes, agents who use a contact management, tech systems earn 2 times as much as the national average agent, right? And it's actually more than that, because the national average agent, I don't know what it's going to be after 2021, because obviously prices hellaciously spiked, and of course that means higher commissions went up. But I know in 2020, I believe the average agent income was like $48,000, roughly, somewhere right in there. So when you're making more than double just because you're using that CRM, you have a planned approach, you have a planned attack, right? And so you want to be able to use that as the marketing automated machine that it is, by sending out the occasional quarterly text message, right, to people that are doing certain behaviors inside your other campaigns, running those email campaigns, taking the time to set up our social media automated posts, liking, commenting, all of those types of things, so that we can have engaging conversations with our clients, right? And when you have the unique selling proposition that you have with Zoodealio, that lowers the bar in the conversation. Because one of my favorite things that the team always kind of jokes with, gives me a hard time about, is a term I've kind of, or a phrase I've kind of coined, is these done for you solutions, right? And so when you have the power of that done for you solution, that's no longer an option of, hey, can you win a house? When you're going to be going in and submitting offers, as cash buyers, you're 4 times more likely to get it accepted. When you're walking in with a listing appointment, a cash offer in hand, that is a done for them solution, right? If those numbers and that option works for them in that particular circumstance, the wheels are set in motion immediately for the transaction to start commencing. It's not having to talk to them about, marketing times, listing strategy, those types of things. Now, obviously, as we all know, I'm an agent, I'm an advocate of making sure that we get a lot of the homeowners, top dollar in certain circumstances. So if there is more yield in that particular time, we want to be able to provide those options for them too. And especially when we are in the inventory shortage and crisis that we are, and I think most projections are showing that it's going to pretty much stay that way through 2022. Being able to have that strategy to show them, like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I can get you $20,000 more by just time blocking 4 hours for me on a Saturday, maybe do a little, nip tuck clean up in the property that, you spend a weekend doing, So give me 1 week in your time, a little elbow grease in your property and a 4-hour window, and I'm going to net you $20,000 more. You're showing them that planned approach, right? And that's what the community, just again, across the board, home sellers want, right? That's it's that doctor or that attorney that in these particular circumstances, when you are the one showing them an A through Z process on how you are going to get them from where they are to where they want to be, the natural cause in that circumstance is going to be that they want to hire you and work with you because you are showing them that you are a pro, right? And I know our members, most of you guys are pros. And so regardless if you know everything that I'm telling you and it's just a refresher, well, it's that beginning of the year. And if you're anything like I was in my career, there's a lot of stuff that I heard and I kept hearing it. A lot of times we need to keep hearing it until it becomes a part of our fabric and it's just how we operate. So those are the things like I want us to, kind of making sure that we have, your Zapier integration, working with your CRM. We're taking these contents of the marketing libraries that we have. We're working smart, really focusing our prospecting efforts on people that we can see certain behaviors that are going on, or we're making prospecting calls to leads that are maybe cold leads, but then we're putting our leads that are there that are expressing some interest that they still want to perform the task that they did. We're then inputting those people into our CRM and then running drips. The other thing I want to challenge everybody that I constantly see missed, and it's just gold, are the leads that are old. Right? Until they, one of my favorite terms from Wolf of Wall Street is until they buy or die. Right? I mean, and it's obviously, I think they stole it from so many other places, but running monitors on our old leads, I think so many times as agents, we get caught up in new and speed to lead, et cetera, which obviously speed to lead is without a doubt the number one key to success. With that said, is monitoring our current leads or our old leads. Right? Like if they still own that property, what is that going to look like for any of the cash offers that you guys generated the last year, or ZBuyer leads, ZBuyer seller leads, any seller lead pool that you have? If you can run their name and do a little bit of intelligent prospecting, go back, pull their name and tax records if they still own the house, and especially if you knew what kind of money that they were looking to net for the house before, and a lot of times maybe they couldn't get the amount of money that they wanted, so they peeled back from selling at that particular point. Well, across the board, America last year had, I believe it was roughly 30% equity, right? So that's $100,000 in, pretty much across the board when you're taking the average sales price of roughly $300,000. Right. So that 30%, appreciation, that circumstance, those houses are now $400,000. And so maybe you can go back through, look through your leads that you had, work intelligently, and you can call up Mr. Smith and say, hey, I know last year you wanted to list your house for $350,000 and the market was only bearing $325,000. Well, what would it look like if I could create a sale for you now that would allow you to move exactly when you wanted, gave you the time and certainty and convenience? And here's the great news, Mr. Smith, I can now get you $375,000 or $395,000 for your house. If I could do that, would you be interested in selling? See where that conversation takes you. Now, of course, the other thing, me being me, I can't help but share with you guys is remember this stat. 60% of all home sellers are also going to buy a house in that physical year. So when you can approach it, you get their wheels turning. And especially now, in so many areas, the become a cash buyer cost has come down. That fee is, a lot of times it started out at 3%, roughly a year ago, where now it's come down to 0%, depending on where you're located, or, 1.5%, 2%. Right. So that cost is much more palatable to a lot of these homeowners. So you can also plant the seed in the fact of turning their offer to cash, because maybe, that $395,000 buyer wants to move up to $550,000 in a better zip code, and it's still ultra competitive due to low inventory. you're going to be able to pivot in those circumstances and have a conversation about the power of turning their offer to cash, and actually how that, even though it's a 1.5% fee, you're probably going to be able to save them money while still reaching their goals, because you're not going to have to go over list as high end as crazy, and they're going to have the crazy cash reserves in the event that the property doesn't appraise, et cetera, because you have to bid 5 to 10% over list price for the offer to even be considered. Right. So those are the types of conversations I want to make sure that I'm empowering you guys that you're having. And I think understanding, when we kind of begin with the end in mind in a lot of these things, this is why I always like to sprinkle in a few quotes and get our minds, kind of turning and thinking here, is your business is going to grow to the extent that you do. Right. So if we keep doing what we're doing, we're going to get what we've always got. So that's why I want to challenge you guys to start thinking about these leads, these databases that you guys have, right? Even if it's what I know we've kind of dove into it before, and our obviously community has grown so much with so many of you on here now, is we have obviously your not met database and your met database, right? So your met is people that you really want to create kind of your raving fans with. When they think of real estate, they think of you. Your not met database is more of the people that you've never met with them. However, they maybe came in through a lead source, an IDX source, those types of things. Those are the areas that I want us to go back and take a look at. How do we wake up some of these leads? How do we give them some of these opportunities that are in front of them? And that's where I really want us to challenge our thinking, right? Is that our business grows in the extent that we do, is our service is an active service, right? When you have these value propositions for people, you are potentially providing them an active service that is helping them achieve what they want in the time they want, which is extremely impactful when you're dealing with 99% of us, greatest asset, the home where they live, right? So again, I just want you guys to shift your thinking and really get into action and realize that our service is an active service for them and their family, right? It's our duty to bring this out and serve them in this particular arena. Okay, so getting into some more action items and what we need to do to really kind of, like I said, prospect and work smart. I am absolutely an action taker and believe in, I'd rather take the shot and miss versus sit here and have analysis paralysis, right? So with that said, what we need to do though is set ourselves up for success so we can work smarter, not necessarily harder. What I want you guys to do is, I know a lot of you in your marketing material within Zoodealio, and again, we've empowered you guys to be able to get in and, change that criteria or change some of the messaging if you want. We've given you a solid foundation and basis. And I see, obviously I'm friends with a lot of you guys, so I see a lot of your postings and whatnot that are going on. And it makes me super stoked that you guys are really implementing this marketing and these action plans. And, hearing so many of you that, hey, I got a cash offer accepted, or hey, I got a listing, and hey, it started a conversation, or oh my gosh, this buyer, they had wrote 10 offers, none of them got accepted. I took the time to get their offers, turn their offer to cash, got them set up, and the very first offer that we submitted was accepted by the seller, and we closed in 10 days. Right? That's like so many of these powerful things that these people are only to get through you. So we need to make sure that we're taking the time to communicate our message in these platforms, right? So we take the content, we build these marketing campaigns that are inside of our CRMs. Then when those leads come into your Zoodealio account with the call to action, they zap right back into your CRM. Then that CRM can run some of these continued longer follow-up emails and drip campaigns. So remember, this is the other stat I want to share with you guys. It's really important to be aware about, and why we must, if you want to not be the normal agent, right, that's doing 3 to 7 deals a year, right? Heck with that. None of us we don't want to participate in that. We want to be doing, 2 deals a month at minimum, which is obviously 24. And I would really challenge you that, let's get to that 50 mark, or even better yet, let's get to that 100 mark, right? Or what does it look like to build your business past 100 transactions a year? How impactful would that be to your life? How impactful would it be if you were a lead source or the agents that are underneath you, that you could build the systems and processes to where you're now leveraging through them, and they're doing, you have 5 agents that are working for you that are all doing 10, 20, 30, 40 deals, right? That's the kind of business that I'm talking about building. These are the kinds of systems and processes that I'm talking about building, because when you have these things at your fingertips, and those of you that are on this call and plugged into your business like this, I'm talking to you. Make sure that we're taking the time to do these things, run these funnels, and the success will be yours. Here's the beauty of what I love, everything I'm just talking about. We take the time to build the foundation, to build the skyscraper. Guess what happens once that foundation is built? It starts to build itself because of some of these automations that we have. It allows you to focus on working on your business versus working in your business. And that's the goal, right? That's for me, I guess at my core, being a core entrepreneur, that's one of the things that absolutely drives me is, what can I create that allows me to serve really big? I know I kind of went off there, but I guess I just really wanted to give you guys the foundation of where my mindset is coming from and why it's so important to build these things and press go. And then that way we can really focus on who's opening the emails, who's opening the communications, what are the actions that are taking, right? And especially if we're running lead forms, or we're running, let's say that you have a video that we're running on a lot of these, right? You pull these videos, you upload them into your YouTube channel, you can see the clicks and plays that are going on. It's another measuring matrix, all things that we want to do, right? So we want to take the time to communicate these particular messages and look at these particular different avenues that we have where we're running, the text message campaigns, our paid ads, email communications, and then of course, social posts. One of the biggest things that's, such an aha to me recently is that statistic where you used to have to touch people 7 times to really kind of register on their radar, where today it's now 11, right? Because we all know that we're getting blasted by so many communications. This is where we want to take these automations that we're doing and we want to prospect intelligently, right? So now I can see Mr. Smith again here, opened up my email address. I have his email address. So I'm running a retarget, on him through social, maybe a Google retarget as well. I can see that he's opened my email 3 times in the last, 2 months. And now I'm able to call Mr. Smith and say, hey, I just want to let you know we've launched, a new program that I really wanted to bring to your attention. That's really helping homeowners win the house they want and actually get some of the better deal. Even though we have a scarcity of inventory, we're helping them, control the timelines and get the very best deal possible. What we're doing is we've launched a partnership where we're actually able to turn your offer into cash to help you to compete to win the house that you want. How does that sound, right? And then so now that conversation starts in that circumstance about them looking for a house. We then, of course, pivot and help them identify a property. You could see if he has IDX that he's been searching, or maybe we get new criteria. This is a lead that was 18 months ago. He still hasn't found a house, kind of got withdrawn from the process, and we can reinvigorate those leads, right? So that's where, for me, when I ran my sales team, I literally, during our prospecting session, I would have half the time working new leads, half the time working our nurture, our warm, those types of leads. Because again, realize that the process of converting leads, and there again, I realize that most of you guys are probably pros and know a lot of what I'm getting at right now. There's always that low-hanging fruit of people that are that now business, but also realize that those nurtures of, hey, maybe not today, but in 90 days, or hey, maybe not today in 180 days, right? When you're setting these goals that we originally talked about and we're casting these things out, every single transaction matters, right? And when you have these big, big, hairy, audacious goals of, 50 units, 100 units, 150 units, those realize that every one counts, right? And every lead matters. Every conversion matters, and that's where we're targeting, and we want to make sure that we're running our funnel appropriately. And now you look like the magician when you're calling up Mr. Smith, even though you can see that he did that he, opened your text message, he responded, he opened your emails, and he's being retargeted, right? So now he's thinking that he's getting all of this special attention, or that, just gosh, as luck would have it, your timing is perfect. Right? You're planting the seed and then you're watering it at that circumstance. So that's the part I'm really wanting to, share with you guys, that you have these things at your fingertip by making them work together with your unique selling, proposition, right? So getting that marketing message, right? Going through these types of things, taking the time to set yourself up, not just kind of going through and be like, oh, this looks pretty, I'll do this. No, this is that, right? Like, identify with the message, make sure you know what's out there, right? Like these ad copies and all of those types of things. I would, don't overthink it, but don't underthink it, right? Like I said, your business is going to grow to the extent that you do. And so when you take the time to set up these processes, it's going to allow these marketing things, which is more of an automated, kind of approach, allow you to respond with that proactive prospecting approach. So those are the things, like I said, I really want us to, kind of take a look at and realize that, there is the, kind of a success and secret formula, right? So a lot of times our 35 contacts, or what is it, that we need to know our particular numbers. And those of you guys that are not tracking your numbers, you should know, you definitely should watch them and know them, right? Like, so, all right, if I'm running this particular campaign to 1,000 people, right here, okay, over this quarter, how many people open this? What's my open rate? What's the click rate? Okay, of the click rate, then these people, then I added in this text message. After that, I had an open rate of over 95%. It had a response rate of 10%, and that led to one particular appointment, right? So we can track these types of things, and then these 4 appointments that I got led to one closed transaction. Now, these, by the way, this is something I actually stole from National Association of Realtors. So this is actually real numbers, right? That these 35 contacts will lead to one appointment, per every 4 appointments to lead to a closed transaction. Okay, those are real NAR numbers. The part that I want to implore you guys to start thinking about is this is with no true unique selling proposition. There's no reason why you guys should not be able to absolutely crush and destroy these numbers. It's up to you to put these things in place. When you're leading with your expertise, your market knowledge, your relationship, or your personality, persona, whatever, then you have the value proposition that you have of these done for them solutions, or these unique ways to start conversations that 95%, 98% of the other agents in your marketplace cannot offer them. There's no reason why you should not be shining. It's up to you to put these things in place and get this going, and perform those acts of service, like I said. Okay, so kind of where are we at in time here? Wrapping up our call, now kind of winding it down as we land the plane, metaphorically speaking, like everybody kind of likes to use. Let's talk a minute about goals, right? I'm a huge believer in goals. Kind of one of the things that we talk about here at Zoodealio is, what is our North Star, right? What is our moral compassing direction of who we are? This one goal, this one core value, that if we hit this and achieve this, so many other goals are going to fall in alignment. So I want to challenge you guys to think about that. If it's not there for you, to get clear. What is your North Star? What is that one goal that if I achieve this goal, so many other goals will have to happen to achieve this goal? And the other thing I want you guys to kind of think about, and those of you that are writing things down, maybe taking some notes, write this down. What would your life look like if you achieve this goal? What would it mean for your family? What would it mean for your time and leverage? What would it mean for the highest and best you, right? Those are all the things that I think we need to start thinking about, and ultimately, start targeting and focusing on, right? So let's talk about a couple of things once we take the time to really kind of discover what this is, write it down. those types of things. And sometimes, again, for me, like when I'm dealing with some of my personal like goals and stuff like that, of course, I have body weight fitness goals. Some of those types of things I don't really, once upon a time I was more of a competitive, physical athletic person. So I had a ton of goals around those types of things. With that said, I would have these types of things in daily, but keeping it about, particular real estate, right? So maybe you have, your 4 weekly goals that go into your 1 monthly goal to that 1 annual goal, right? Known as the 411. It's in so many books out there. What are those particular things that are in alignment, right? With that 411, and that 1 a lot of times is that going to be that North Star, right? I would also challenge us to know what that North Star is of our core value, because I think when our core value aligns with our goal, it's so much easier to be able to hit and achieve that, right? Then the biggest thing I think that our industry really does is I do think a lot of people set goals. I think a lot of people do write them down. I forget what the stat is, but it's like you're something like 60% more likely to achieve the goal if it's written down. Here's the big one that I think our industry misses is this last one. I think it's one of the biggest nuggets that we can see in there. Do you mastermind about your goal? Have you vocalized your goal? Have you communicated with your team members, your other people around you, right? You are the collective of the 5 closest people to you, right? Is that goal in a place that you see daily? How on purpose is your goal? Like I said before, when your intention is clear, the way to achieve that goal will absolutely appear. So, and like, again, this is probably one of my favorite mantra settings is what you focus on expands, right? I think that's just such a huge one. And being that, this is our first call of the year, January just started. Most of us are kind of just getting back to work. This is only our 3rd day back after having off, 2-3 weeks. Depending on how you ran your business, if you're anything like we worked through virtually the whole thing and had, took Christmas and New Year's Eve off. But what I'm ultimately wanting to kind of share with you guys today is take the time to set yourself up for success. And maybe that part of, the 4 weekly goals is to get your database cleaned up, is to get it sorted, is to get your drips set up, is to get your text messages set up, right? That's okay. Let's time block these things, spend an hour on it a day. You don't have to shut down your business and do 100% of it all at once, right? Work on getting it going today, right? Like when I have to build very big campaigns for some of the certain things that I do with our design team, and ours goes through quite a bit of a process of, the ad copy, the revising, the graphic design team, the layout, the calls to action, right? There's a lot of stuff that we really focus on in our communications. Well, when those things happen, I don't do it all, I don't just shut everything off. We have to time block, an hour or 2 a day that's going to allow us to set these things up for success. So that's another, a bit of a nugget I think that I want to pass on to you guys. Is obviously your business still needs to run. You still need to meet with sellers. You still need to be showing buyers. You still need to, be working with the hot leads that you have certainly right now. Yet, if you take the nuggets that I said about going through some of those old leads and waking those up, I promise you there's hundreds of thousands of dollars in most agents' database that literally has dust on it. They'll spend more money to go get more new leads to have 98% of them sit there and collect dust. Don't be that agent. Do yourself the favor. Wake them up. Put the systems, put the automations in process so that A, you can take your life back. B, you can crush it financially. With that said, I appreciate you guys so much. I'm absolutely just stoked, excited to be with you guys. Like our member base has been fantastic. We're so honored and humbled to be working with you guys.